presenters for the first. All right, thanks, Shaniska. The presenters for our session today are going to be myself, Anasia Turner. I am your high school, secondary MTSS specialist. So those of you all who have emailed me, if we have not met in person, I'm sure that we have connected through email communication throughout the semester, or for iReady or for some reason. So if you have not seen my face, welcome. And then my co-presenter for today is going to be Dr. Sony Anderson. Dr. Anderson, would you like to share some words of wisdom before we get started?
Good morning. We will be engaging in a lot of work.
Thank you for those brilliant words of wisdom today. All right, so we will be your presenters for the first session, and then we also have Shaniska Howard in the room. She will be your presenter for the second session for iReady. Shaniska, would you like to share some words of wisdom?
Good morning, everyone, and I'm excited to be here. I apologize for the froggy throat, but this tea is going to help me get it better.
I know we all got froggy throats over
I
here.
know, right?
It's gonna be a good session though, you guys. All right. So let's move along. The purpose for today's let me go back. I'm sorry, guys. I can't see everyone's face. I'm not sure who's all in the room, but Shantilia is I can't see your face, but I know you're here,
Good
is our
morning.
director of MTSS.
Good morning, everyone. Excited that you guys have joined. We are, been trying to get an opportunity to just really support at each of the levels. So this morning definitely would have been great in person, but we're going to make it even better in virtual. So happy that you're here with us this morning.
And then I think I saw Securia's name come across the screen. Securia is our middle school MTSS specialist. Securia, are you here? I can't see your face, but
Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is staying warm and safe.
and then Jade, I think I saw you come in from the state. Is Jade?
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Okay, Jade, do you want to introduce yourself to the participants?
Sure. I am Jade Tornatore. I am with NCDPI, and my role is to help the Southwest districts, including CMS, with MTSS implementation. You have a great staff and great crew already, so that makes my job really easy. And it's nice to see some familiar names and some familiar faces in the participants. So glad to be here.
All right, now, welcome everyone. I think I got everybody that's in this space. And if I miss anybody, I'll come back to you because I can't see everyone's face right now. All right, so the purpose of our session today is to provide support with creating a school-wide approach to leveraging systems of intervention delivery at the secondary level. And then our second objective for today is to provide MTSS lead contacts and members of high school MTSS leadership teams with an opportunity to collaborate and receive support on their specific goals and initiatives. So hopefully through the first session and the second session that you're gonna participate in today, we will be able to meet both of those objectives. All right, so our session for today is going to be split between the main MTSS session and then the second session will be for iReady. We were going to, in the live world, we were going to give you all at the end, give you all an opportunity to collaborate with your own school team or with other school teams. We are going to continue to have the content in the first part of today. The optional space will still be open to you if you want to stay on and collaborate with the members of your school team who are here today, or if there are other school teams that you want to meet with, we will remain on the call until 11:50 or 12 o'clock. If you have questions for our team, or if you just want to stay on the call to collaborate and just kind of meet with each other, we will leave that space open, but we wanted to honor your time today. We know that some of you all are in the school building, so we wanted to make sure that you are out by 11 o'clock. So the content will end by 11 o'clock, and then that space for you to collaborate will still be here if you would like that time to collaborate with your team or other school teams that are here today. So it will be an optional work session today, but you'll still have the opportunity to collaborate throughout the sessions, but that planning time will be optional for you since we're in a virtual space today. If you click on the agenda here, it'll take you into your own copy of it. So if you just want to hold on to it throughout the session, you'll have access to it. All right. Any questions about the flow for today? All right, so let's get going. I'm gonna hand it off to Dr. Sony Anderson to lead us into our SEL moment.
Good morning again, everyone. I am so excited that you are here. And I hope that you don't mind, but I come from an elementary background, so our games will be engaging. I am going to ask for your grace and your patience this morning as we go back to our virtual world. So we are not, we haven't been virtual for a while, and so here we go. So today's SEL moment will include a game of four corners, but it's going to be virtual style. So I'm going to share an idea or a concept, and you're going to select a breakout room in which applies to you. So let's begin. So you're going to select a breakout room based on your goals for this new year. So before you go into your breakout room, there are going to be a few directions because once you get in there, you're going to have to introduce yourself to those that are in there. So you're going to say, good morning, my name is such and such, and a little known fact about myself is. So for example, if I was in the breakout room, I would say, good morning, my name is Sony, and a little known fact about me is I know how to ride or drive a motorcycle. And so the group would say, good morning, Sony. And you would just continue until everyone has introduced themselves and they've given a little known fact about themselves. So we will continue again until everyone has greeted themselves. And then we're going to return to the main room. And then one person's going to share out with their New Year's goal and kind of give us a little bit of information about how you're going to do that goal for the year. So are there any questions about this task? Okay, we'll take about 3 minutes. So the first breakout room is going to be for saving money. So if you're going to save money, you are going to go into breakout room 1. The second breakout room is going to be eating healthier. The third breakout room is going to be spending less time on social media. And the fourth breakout room will be learning something new. You have to choose one. You can't say you're going to do 2 or 3, so you have to choose one this time. So again, breakout room number 1 is saving money, 2, eating healthier, 3, less time on social media, and 4, learning something new. Remember, you're going to introduce yourself, tell a little known fact. We'll be back in 3 minutes. We'll see you when you get back. So everyone should be back now. And so I'm going to ask if one person would come off of mute and just kind of share how you plan on saving money this year. One person, one brave person.
Can I volunteer, Hasmik? Don't beat me, but I love yours.
Yes.
She's probably,
Sorry.
okay.
So mine was, I was just saying that I chose breakout room 3, which was to say, to stop like being on social media so much. But my reason was because I just kind of like follow bloggers and just want to buy all the things that I see. So it's really to try to save money. Ultimately, I guess that's like the root goal. And my goal is just to replace that with being more healthy and being like, just walking and being more present, than enjoying to see what others have and try to replicate their things and just make things happy within me.
Awesome. And you're getting 2 goals out of 1. So you're staying off of social media and you're saving money.
Exactly. Winning.
All right. Thank you. Is there anyone that represented eating healthier? Can you give us one of your tips for this year?
I'll come off for the eating healthier people.
Yes.
The idea of just being intentional about meal prep, because sometimes you have anything or you forgot to pack something, you're just like, let me go down, get my quarters and go to the vending machine. So being intentional on the front end about the meal prep, I think is a good step.
Great idea. And it saves you money when you're going to the grocery store.
Yes.
All right. In our last breakout room, learning something new. Is there anyone that wants to learn something new this year?
I'll be brave. I'm so wanting to learn something new that I'm getting my PhD.
Oh,
for you,
awesome. What are you
Wendy.
getting your PhD in?
Officially urban literacy, but it's a balance of MTSS and critical thinking.
Oh,
Good for
wow.
you, Wendy.
Yeah,
Good job.
crazy.
Congratulations.
All right, celebrations all around for that one.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, so we have one more slide for our New Year goals. So if you look at the next slide, we're going to talk about different goals. So in the breakout rooms, you're going to discuss how you plan to accomplish these tasks. So when we return in the main room, we're going to share out really quick again. So the first breakout room, and hopefully my numbers have been fixed, are going to be breakout room 1 is going to be exercise more. Number 2 is going to be reduce stress. 3 is going to be spend more time with family and friends, and 4 is going to be lose weight. It's going to be the same concept, and we're just going to go ahead and open up those breakout rooms. We'll see you in 3 minutes. In the last room, you were supposed to discuss how you plan to accomplish these tasks. So I'm going to quickly go. If someone would come off of mute and express how they're going to exercise more this year.
Good morning, everyone. Yvette Hubbard with Charlotte High School.
Good morning.
Hey, so I typically do a lot of walking around the building anyway, because you're constantly walking around high school. But I just want to be more intentional around.
What about reducing stress? Everyone should come off of mute for this one. How do you plan on reducing stress this year?
And still working for CMS.
Anyone? Bueller?
I would
Yeah,
say
this
don't take it personal and just keep going, dealing with colleagues, dealing with all stakeholders. Just don't take it personal.
Thank you, Chris.
Cue Monica from the
Yes.
90s. Okay.
Thank you. Don't take it personal. And breakout room 3, spend more time with family and friends.
Jade, I'm gonna volunteer you.
All right, I'll go. I just got 2 kids who just both turned teenagers, and like that time is slipping through pretty quickly. They both have lives and want to go do stuff with their friends, and so just trying to hold on to the last years while they still semi like me. So
Semi.
Just a little bit.
Yes. All right. And breakout room 4 was lose weight. Now, if you can give me the secret to success here, anyone? How do you plan on losing weight? Anyone? All right.
I'll
Maybe someone
go.
joined.
I can
Okay.
So
share.
I was in that one.
Okay.
Calorie deficit.
Yeah, that's what
Meal
I did.
prepping, increase protein, decrease carbs.
And Yvette said meal prep again, so thank you.
And
We're all
also,
so-
I think coming together with things that everybody else said, which is getting more steps in, which we all need to do to be around the building, which also decreases stress.
Yeah.
Depending on what you find when you're going around the building.
Right.
Outside of, well, I can't even say that. Listen, find a park someplace.
Yes. And just making sure that you're getting enough rest, because sometimes sleep deprivation also plays into weight gain. So just being cautious there. All right, so I'm going to move us along, and we have one last 4 corners. However, we're not going to go into our breakout rooms. We're going to actually put this in the chat. So you're going to share how comfortable you are with MTSS implementation at your school. So if you could lead this PD today, you are an expert. You're going to put in the chat when I say go a number 1, but just give me a second because it's going to be a waterfall. So you'll put a 1 in the chat. If you could help a teammate with MTSS, you're going to put 2 in the chat. If you need a refresher, you're going to put 3. And if it's going to be what you talking about, Willis, you're going to put a 4 in the chat. So at this time, everyone have where they are. So again, if you're an expert, you're going to put 1. You can help a teammate, you're going to put 2. If you need a refresher, 3. What you talking about, Willis, put 4 and go. Everyone put their numbers in now.
Tasha from East Med, we said, when we say go.
I like how she was just prepared to go.
No, I'm ready, because with all our meetings that we had, I'm a two, and I'm excited about that.
Okay, well, since Tasha put
Sorry.
a 2 in, I'm gonna ask her actually to share, because the second part of this task is if you are a 3 or 4, so I'm gonna start with my 3s and 4s. If you put a 3 or 4 in the chat, what's something you hope that you're gonna take away from this session today? What is something that you're hoping? So when you signed up on this snow day that is coming, that hasn't quite started yet, and you made time to come, what is something that you hope to gather from this training this morning? If you're a 3 or 4, you need a refresher, or what you talking about?
Veronica Walker from Rocky River High School. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Veronica.
For me, I've always been involved in MTSS, especially on the elementary middle level. So being new to high school, I want to make sure that I understand how to implement it effectively on the high school level, in terms of supporting math.
Yes. And it is very different coming from elementary to high school. So thank you for calling that out. If you are 1 or 2 and you say that you could lead this PD today, or you can help a teammate, please share out. And Tasha, I'm
ahead,
not gonna put you on the spot, but anyone? 1 or 2. If you put a 1 or 2 in the chat, what's one piece of advice you would share with another high school team on how they would, or could they begin this MTSS work? Tasha,
Okay.
what's one
I
piece of advice you would give?
think the one piece, where's my camera? I don't understand why my camera won't stay on, but that's okay. One piece of advice that I would give is basically just start small, start in a small space, something that you want to work with. So for example, I'm working with Math 1 and really getting some growth with our Math 1 students. So alongside Anasia, every other day, what I've decided to do was just kind of look at the Math 1 data, look at the trends, and look at some ways that I could meet with my team. Actually, you have to get your team ready first. Get your team together, your MTSS leadership team. So that's first. Get your meeting dates on the books. That's the second part. And then after that, what I've done was looking at the data, analyzing what we can do differently, radical change. So at EastMech, we hit Math 1. We pulled those Math 1 students according to the data decision guidelines and put them in a specific homeroom. So every homeroom block for that 25, 30 minutes, they are working on iReady, their pathway. So we've done the diagnostic, got the results, and now they are working on their pathway with the teacher there supporting them. So I mean, just really follow. It's pretty laid out at the high school level. It's pretty laid out. So if you follow, the format and the flow, it is not as difficult, and MTSS is not as much of a beast as it's been made out to be, because it's pretty structured. So follow the structure.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that information. And so we do have some experts that are in this room, and I have a feeling there are lots of comments that make my heart happy in this chat, where they're talking about like learning where to find the data, how to help their ML teacher or students that are struggling, how to formulate their teams and focus on the data, using data on our learners. So I'm excited about that. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Anasia, who is going to show and share you how to do all those great things.
Yes, way to go. EastMech, you guys have done a ton of work this year, and just, since the beginning of the school year, I feel like you guys have come a long way in getting your system set up. So kudos to EastMech. Good job, teacher. All righty. So we're going to go over some quick MTSS updates for the middle of the year, just so you guys have the information that you need. First of all, the MTSS screening window, if you have not heard this information, this came out in the principal memo this past Wednesday, that the screening window has been moved from the January 22nd through the 29th through February 3rd through the 7th. So the window has been backed up. So if you did not know that, please make sure that you note that. The screening window for you all, what this means is that the students will not be able to access the middle of your diagnostic assessment and iReady until February 3rd. There is a deck that Ryan Revac put out and sent out to principals that has some additional information with the updated screening window about assigning tests. Remember, during BOY administration that the window, the actual testing window during the day doesn't begin until 7:30. So if you're trying to pull kids before that, they're going to get that error message. So make sure that when you're pulling them, that you pull them after 7:30. They will not be able to access the test at home after 4 o'clock because of the CMS testing window. So just make sure that you're testing them within that time frame. And then remember that during this time, during the actual diagnostic testing window, they are not going to be able to access any MyPath instruction. So if they're already working in their pathway, they've completed the diagnostic assessment and they have been working in their pathway, those lessons will not be accessible until they complete the middle of the year diagnostic. So those are just a few quick reminders. These are resources that you can share with your staff if you want to send out some reminders to your staff just about the upcoming middle of the year window. So that is there for you. High school iReady norms. Remember that for iReady, there are only norms. So the percentile rankings are only available for 9th and 10th grade in the BOY screening window. So if you are testing students anytime after November 15th, which is the beginning of the year, the end of the beginning of the year screening window for high school or for iReady, you're not going to see those percentile rankings when you go in to test your students for MOY. So you're not going to see like 25th percentile, 15th percentile, 1st percentile when you test them anytime after November the 15th. There are no high school norms after November 15th. So you're not going to see that. So what you have linked here are the scale scores and the corresponding percentiles based on the beginning of the year if you need like a reference point, but you're not going to see that in the platform because the data set for students being assessed with iReady across the country isn't large enough for them to have a national norm for this. We are working on some options to create some CMS local norms, but we need to be able to test more students to create those local norms based on our data. So you have that reference here if you need that. When Wednesdays for you all that just have questions and you need to just drop in, you don't always need to schedule an appointment with me. When Wednesdays is offered every 1st and 3rd Wednesday of the month. So our next When Wednesday is just what I need Wednesdays. It's just office hours. So you can come and join me for an hour. That will be held next Wednesday. And if you click here, this will send you the link so that you can drop in and join me if you want to come, if you have just additional questions. All right, and then lastly, our MTSS Monday, if you have not been joining, MTSS Monday is also, the schedule for that is also linked on the document as well. But our MTSS Monday for this month, this is our MTSS Monday, or this session is gonna take the place of that. So our MTSS Monday for January and February will not occur because we will be together today and then we'll be together again in February. So our regularly calendar MTSS Monday will not occur. And then I will see you in person again for part 2 on February 21st at West Charlotte. Any questions about iReady updates or updates in general before we get into the main session or until our work session today? Everybody good with iReady updates? Is the chat good? Because I can't see the chat.
Yeah, we already scheduled our testing, so now we have to go back and undo it now because of the window, so.
Well, text me about that. Okay. All right. Let me say that out loud then. If you have already created a testing schedule based on the original testing calendar, and I know that several schools have reached out about that, and you have already created a plan and you are super tied to that testing schedule, please reach out to me by email so that I can work with you to ensure that you can keep your testing schedule. Because I don't want to mess you up if you already developed a plan to do that. I don't want to because I know we've had a ton of issues already at the beginning of the year with y'all being able to test when you needed to test. So if you have already created a testing schedule that is going to work for you and your students, just reach out to me by email and I will respond to you and like help you work out something so that you can test your kids on your original testing schedule.
That'll be great because we met with the testing coordinator and everything. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Just let me know.
Okay.
Yes, but don't forget Tasha, because okay. All right, so let's get into our session for today. So we're gonna take this through our regular kind of MTSS Monday kind of format. So if you have not been joining, this is the flavor of what we do each month. And if you like this, please join us. All right, so today we're going to do connecting the data. We're going to start there. So we're going to connect the work to what you should be doing each month in your leadership team. So I'm going to highlight the January, February from our month-by-month document. I'm going to make some connections to the work you should be doing based on FAM. And then we're going to go through a problem-solving activity based on our CMS data protocol, and then we will have a quick reflection activity to close us out today. All right, so let's begin by connecting the data. So each month, and for those of y'all who are not familiar with this document, this is our monthly topics agenda, and this is what keeps your MTSS leadership team organized. This is where you find what you should be talking about each month. So for those of y'all who are saying like, I'm not really sure what I should be doing or like how to stay on target, this is where you want to go. In this document for January and February, where you're going to focus and where our session is going to really focus today is going to be on intervention delivery and effectiveness. So for the month of January and February, part of the discussion that your leadership team should be having in collaboration with your PLCs, you should be analyzing supplemental and intensive data to determine the effectiveness of your interventions. You should be identifying any barriers that are contributing to the fidelity of your intervention delivery and lack of student progress based on data analysis and trends. You should be looking at your fidelity checks and then implementing any changes that are necessary to your master schedule. If you noticed any trends with your behavior, you want to make sure that you are making adjustments to those behavior expectations, making any curricular adjustments, and then changing teachers around to support different areas that you notice need to be addressed. You also want to be looking at your end of the quarter, end of the semester data so that you can determine what your needs are going to be for students who need to be supported moving forward. So that's where we're going to concentrate on. So this comes from the January, February monthly topics, and there are several other places, but this is where our session is going to focus today. All right, closing some stuff out up here. All right. All right, so we are gonna send you into a breakout room and we're just gonna do a quick like kind of check-in. I want you all to kind of do a reflection, and we have this in the December deck for MTSS Monday. And I want you all, once you get into your breakout room, I want you to do just kind of a check-in about how intervention delivery went for your school in the beginning of the year. So the purpose of this activity is to provide you an opportunity to review your systems of intervention delivery, to review how consistently interventions were provided to your students, to review the overall fidelity of intervention delivery and implementation, and to identify areas for improvement within your current plan. So this is an activity that you should take back to your school team when you get back with your MTSS leadership team in the building. So the things that you should be discussing are how frequently are interventions being delivered to your students? What progress are students showing on targeted skills? Are interventions being implemented as intended? Are there any significant challenges to your system of intervention delivery? What adjustments might be needed based on their data? So these type of questions are things that you want to reflect on based on how your interventions or how your intervention delivery plan went for first semester. This is your mid-year check-in. So we're going to put you into breakout rooms you're going to choose the breakout room based on the group that you selected for the first New Year's resolution. So if you chose the money group, you're going to go back to breakout room 1. If you chose learning something new, you're going to go back to group 4. If you chose less social media, you're going to go to 3. And if you chose eating healthier, I think you're going to go to breakout room 2. Any questions? And this is just reflecting on what your school did with the other schools in your group. Any questions about what we're doing? All right, so we can open the breakout rooms. Cool. Are there any reflections that anyone would like to share out from just maybe a reflection about intervention delivery and what they were able to do and maybe some possible changes that they would like to make going into second semester?
I'll go. And this is Leah from Rocky. I enjoyed listening to both of my colleagues from West Charlotte and East Meck about their intentionality that they've created in their schedules, so much as to like having specific rosters just for homeroom that are done through Google to hold students and teachers accountable. So I really like how they have dedicated that time. And I think that's something that that just really stood out to me about what they've done and how they revamped their system over the course of years, because they tried something, didn't work. So they, went back to the drawing board as a team to figure out how do we prioritize this, recognizing the obstacles, but how do we work through those obstacles with MTSS?
Right. And those are good examples. West Charlotte, does a great job. I know that Rhonda Harris was your specialist last year. So they have great systems set up as well. So those are two great examples. All righty, so let's make a quick connection to the work of FAM, because what I want to do is show you, draw like a direct connection between our MTSS monthly topics and what you should be doing with your leadership team to the work that you're doing at the school and how that is directly linked to your FAM. For those of you all who are like brand new to the world of MTSS, your FAM is your facilitated assessment of MTSS. So it is linked here on the slide, and then it is also linked here. So within FAM, each month during our MTSS Monday, we focus on a different component of the FAM. So this month, we are focusing on the problem-solving process. And item 22 directly addresses what the work that we're going to do together in this next activity. Mr. Peoples. So item 22 asks the question or states, across all tiers, integrated database problem solving for student attendance, academic, behavior, social-emotional, and social-emotional outcomes occurs across areas and grade levels. So I want you to reflect. I'm not going to put anybody on the spot, but I want you to reflect on, at your school, if we were taking the FAM today and you were responding to that question, what would your response be? Is your school in an area of not implementing based on the rubric you see here? And if you click on the screen, it will open to the FAMS as well. Is your school team in a space of not implementing? Are you emerging and developing? Are you operationalizing, or are you optimizing in this area? Do you have an integrated database problem-solving process that your school routinely engages in when you are looking at student data? When you are making decisions about how to best support your students at core, to provide supplemental support, intensive support, and then across all domains. So we like to focus on academic, but do you have a similar process that you review data to determine how you're going to support students at core, supplemental, and intensive for behavior and to address their social and emotional needs as well, in addition to attendance? So across all tiers and across all domains. And I want you to take a mental note of where you think your school is right now, just on item 22. How would you rate yourself? And again, I'm not going to call you out, but I just want you to think about where you're at and your practices around this, because in the next activity, we're going to do some work about or engage in an activity that's going to help you to understand how you can strengthen your practices in this area. So everyone has taken their mental note about where they're at in this space. Anyone want to be brave and share?
I will. I think that we have really worked hard over the past couple of years, and you know our struggles. And I feel like we're in a really good place this year. Our math program has always been strong. We continue to improve the behavior in SEL. We have an attendance PLC, but I will say that attendance is still a big issue, because now that they've taken away the attendance requirement, even some of our kids who attended all the time are now like, but it doesn't matter anymore. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So we're trying to become more creative, and our attendance PLC is working on that. That's probably our weakest area right now. And we're really moving forward with English this year. So I think that we are, you know, it's the year 4 of me doing this at the high school. And I feel like this is the first year that I feel like we are in a really good place across all domains.
I agree, Fiona. I think AK has, you guys have come up with some strong processes to kind of get a system set that really works for you. I agree with that. But I agree, it's taking some time for you all to find the system that works for you. Yeah, so I agree with that. But you've all done a good job.
Thank you.
All righty, so we are gonna go into our next activity here, and this is gonna be kind of the meat of the work. So if you will click here onto the screen for the CMS data protocol, I'm gonna walk you through this activity, and then we're gonna put you into some groups. Yours should open up to a forced copy. All right, so if you attend MTSS Mondays with us, you know that we have a sample school. We love our Endless Possibilities Academy, but I have graduated our students, or they have matriculated. You know, we love matriculate. So we have moved our students on up to Endless Possibilities High School, and they are now in 9th grade. So we are going to use the CMS data protocol, which is just a standardized data protocol that you can apply to any data set that you're looking at. So you don't just have to use it for this. You can take this protocol if you like it and apply it to any data set that you're looking at for your school. So we're going to use our data protocol, the CMS data protocol today, to look at a data set for our 9th grade students at Endless Possibilities High School. The data set is an actual data set from a CMS high school. We've removed all the identifiers. It is just a 9th grade class. The data set contains 569 students because it is an actual CMS high school. And you have a scenario here that I want you to use the CMS data protocol to work through. You have been given some resources that should be familiar to you. So you'll have the CMS data decision guidance, the data set, and the data set is a forced copy. So when you download or when you click on it, it'll open up so that you can make a forced copy of it. And you'll be able to sort the data however you need to. And then the third resource that you have been given is going to be the high school scheduling option. So when you get to the part of the activity where you need to make some decisions about how you can schedule the students, this deck is going to contain some scheduling options for you to consider. It's also going to contain some guidance about considerations that you need to make for your students with disabilities, your advanced learners, and your multilingual learners. So there's good information in the deck for you to use there. And then the fourth resource this here is connection to FAMS. So as you're working through the scenario and you're going through each step in the data protocol, make sure that you're making the connection back to FAM. So we've just highlighted the section that it will connect with for the FAM so that you can make sure that you're looking back at what optimizing would be so that when you're taking this work back to the schoolhouse, that you're making that connection. If I can have a volunteer to read our scenario for Endless Possibilities High School before we get started, and then we will move you into a breakout room. And I know there are some things in the chat, and I don't know if Chantelia or Sony.
I can read it for us.
Okay, go ahead, Fiona. Thank you.
You are a member of the MTSS leadership team at Endless Possibilities High School. Your team has convened to develop an implementation plan for intervention delivery for the second semester, but have some concerns about where to begin the conversation. Intervention delivery has been a consistent challenge for the MTSS leadership team at EPHS. Intervention delivery during the first semester was limited to only a few students who required tier support as part of an EC evaluation process, and historically teachers have been reluctant to teach intervention. There is also no time provided in the master schedule for intervention to be provided to students when they need support. This semester, your team is determined to make a change and would like to develop a different approach in order to meet the needs of the students at your school.
All right, so your task today, when you go back with your breakout room in your MTSS leadership team, is to use the linked resources provided to answer just the questions in bold, because some of the questions you're not going to have enough context or information to answer. But when you use this protocol with your school team, with your own leadership team, you will be able to answer all of the questions in the protocol. So you're going to answer just the questions that have been bolded for you to create a plan for second semester for Endless Possibilities High School. Now, we don't want you clearly to write a dissertation, and I don't expect you to come out of here with like a full-blown plan. So what we want you to do is to kind of talk through this with the people who are going to be in your group, so that everyone kind of has an understanding of how to prioritize student needs, how you look at the data to determine how would you schedule these students, what kind of support are the teachers going to need to be able to provide the interventions for students. So that's what the questions are going to lead you through, is the process of more about how do you think about this. So in the notes section or over here in the notes column, this is more to just kind of jot down your high level thoughts. You're not going to like write me a detailed plan. I don't want you to do that here. This is more about the conversation that you're going to have, and then just jotting down some notes that are going to help you to remember, so that when you take this back to your school, that you have enough information to remember, okay, what was important? What do I need to take away from this activity? All right. So when it says create a plan, don't think that you have to like create a 10-page plan to walk out of here with. That's not what I'm looking for. It's about the conversation so that you understand how to work through the process. Any questions about that? All right, so we are going to open up the breakout rooms. And this time, let me go back into the deck. You are going to be organized by your second group, which was the exercise more, spend more time with friends and family, decrease your stress level, and lose weight. So if you were in the exercise more, you're going to return to breakout room 1. If you were and spend more time with your friends and family, you're going to return to breakout room 3. If you were in the lose weight group, you're going to go back to breakout room 4. And if your New Year's resolution was to reduce your stress, you're going to go back to 2. When you go into your groups, you're going to make a forced copy of the data set and of the data protocol. And then the task today is just to kind of engage in the conversation so that you understand how you should work through this process when you do this at your school. And then I'm going to join some breakout rooms so that if you have questions, just, flag me down so that I can help you if you have those questions. Any questions before we leave the space?
Just one of the things is that sometimes, especially if you're just starting out, all of the data there together can be a little bit overwhelming, and just trying to figure out what you need to look at and where you need to prioritize. So taking that big data piece and kind of scaling it down a little bit and focusing on some key data points to at least get you going, I think is key. And sometimes also maybe not being okay with a little remix if you need to, like taking the process, but doing a remix to suit what your specific needs are and like the manpower that you have, et cetera.
Absolutely. Use your filters. That data set has 569 ninth graders, right? That's just your ninth graders, right? So when you go into iReady and you see 1,300 kids, it by no means does that mean you should try to administer a diagnostic assessment to 1,300 kids. That means you need to look at your data set and figure out what students would benefit the most from a tiered intervention support. So when you look at that data set, and this conversation came up in several of the breakout rooms, When you look at your data set, you want to first look at the students who are chronically absent because you cannot intervene with students who are not at school, right? So are they chronically absent? Yes or no, right? That's your first layer of filters. Because those kids, it's not to say that they're not going to receive an intervention, but those students who are chronically absent, they need an attendance intervention. They need support someplace else, right? If a student, your next filter is going to be your behavior incidents, right? Do these students need a social emotional intervention or behavior intervention? Because if you are going to provide an intervention for a student and they're sitting in an intervention group or an intervention block class and they're cutting up, you can't intervene with that student, right? So your next filter or your next layer needs to be, do these students need a behavior support, yes or no? Then you can have your those students, you're not going to disregard them. You're going to give them the support that they need, which is the behavior intervention, right? Then your next filter is going to be your academics. Though the group of students that are left after you layer those filters is going to be, what academic support do they need? Math or literacy? Are they a multilingual learner? Are they a student with a disability? Those are the type of considerations that you need to make, and you can layer in all those additional filters at that point. That brings you from 569 to a group of like 32 students. That's a workable group. So work your filters. Any other share outs? Aha moments or things that you want to take back? I heard a good discussion in there. I know y'all was having moments of brilliance in there.
I just want to comment on, we talked about it in our group about scheduling and getting together with our ILT team and working in things in the master schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to provide the correct logistics within the master schedule.
Absolutely. That's going to be your biggest challenge. If you don't plan ahead for where your students are going to receive intervention, when it gets time for your students to actually receive those interventions, the question is, okay, well, when are we going to do it? And it's going to be blank stares all the way around the room. You have to plan for that. And those scheduling option, that deck, you can take that back to your MTSS leadership team. Y'all can look at that deck together and figure out if any of those options are going to work for you. And if not those, then creatively, what can your team do to make sure that you have that time in your schedule? All right, so we are going to close out today's session, and I'm going to go back into the deck. Yes, Ms. Walker, Veronica. The filters that I just said were basically attendance, behavior, and then academic. And then if you want to stay after, I can show you how to do that in the spreadsheet so that you can get down to a workable size. But basically you're looking at attendance first, behavior, and then academic concerns. And anyone else who's interested, I'll stay after and kind of filter through a spreadsheet so you can see at least how my brain thinks about it. All right, so I'm going to go back into the deck and we are going to close out, and I'm going to allow Shaniska to move through. All right, so just reminders that when you go back to your school that you're looking at January and February, just what we did today, looking at your intervention effectiveness and delivery. If you did not have a great plan for first semester, revamping that plan with your MTSS leadership team. If you are not using the MTSS leadership team agenda, this is a forced copy of the agenda for you to use. Oh no, I'm not doing that today. That is a forced copy of the MTSS leadership team agenda for you to use with your school. And again, we go over all of this in MTSS Monday. So if you enjoyed today's session, this is basically what we do each Monday for a Monday out of the month for an hour. So this is the type of content that we are covering. This is where you can add your thoughts. So we have created a Padlet for you to include your let me give this to Sony so she can do this right before I mess this all the way up. Cause I'm about to chop and screw that.
All right, so we will, I will be really quick on this. So you're going to basically just add your comments here. I'm gonna just quickly go over it, and then throughout the day before we end or this afternoon, when you think about it, you can go and add your comments here. So the suitcase is what you're gonna take away with you from this session. That can be one or more 2 takeaways. So these are things that you're gonna take and use at your school that you're gonna keep traveling with every time. So like every time you have a suitcase, you're always gonna pack your toothbrush, your toothpaste. So those are things that are gonna be constantly used, right? Then there's going to be a freezer. So what do you still need to think about? Perhaps here's something that you don't feel ready to apply, but you're going to put it on ice. So you're going to like have it in your background, but you're going to consider using it in the future. And then you have a waste bin. So what are some things that you're going to, or practices that you're going to throw away at your school? But with that throwing away, what are you going to put in its place? So this is how you're going to utilize this Padlet. Feel free to add it now. I've dropped it in the chat. I'm not going to take much time, and I'm going to pass it back to Anasia.
All right, so we will leave the Padlet open for you to drop your responses, and this is where it can be your shared space. So if you guys want to fill this up, go ahead and use it as your kind of share bulletin board, and you can share your thoughts amongst each other. The deck will be open for you all to continue to come back to this. So if you want to use this as like your collaboration space, go ahead and do that. All right, and I am going to pass this to Shaniska so that she can transition into the iReady session for today. And Shaniska, do you need any transition time?
I am up and ready, but if you'll just go ahead and show the slide for the demo.
Yep. I forgot. I'm so sorry. All right.
Okay.
So for the demo accounts, I know that some of you, if you have not already given your BOY diagnostic, I know there was a lot of issues in the beginning of the year, and some of you all might not have enough data to kind of look into the reports that we're going to look in today. Also, if you don't have everyone here, I think, should have the correct level of access, but if you don't worry about that. If you have access issues to iReady, just email Sonia or I, and we will address those outside of the session today. But we want you to be able to at least have something to look at. So if you don't have access to your own iReady account, just go ahead and log into the demo so that you can follow along with the session today. So that's in your deck. With the bit.ly is at the bottom of the screen again. And then Shaniska, I'm going to stop sharing so that you can do this, but you have the screen in your deck, guys. So you'll have the login and everything you need. Otherwise, you can log into your own iReady and you get to that on Launchpad, and you just click the iReady icon from Launchpad.
All right, so if we are all ready to go, I am going to do the abbreviated version of what we were going to work on, because we really want to leave time just in case there are some questions that you may have, versus just kind of taking up this time and giving you all also some time to do some collaboration. So what we're going to really focus on, if you've already given a diagnostic, then you're probably going to be very familiar with what I'm talking about. If you have not, then this is an opportunity for you to gain some information. And again, if you're somewhere in between, it'll be a bit of a hybrid conversation. So Sonia and Anasia, if you guys will watch the chat for me, if there are any specific questions, I'm just going to kind of keep rolling until one of you just stop me. This is a bit.ly that we shared kind of back in August with some information around just, it's a Padlet with just ongoing information. I want to put this in the chat so that way you'll have access to some resources if you have any questions about things even after the fact. So this particular Padlet, let me get my words. This Padlet is something, again, that we created back in August, and this is the bit.ly to get to that particular Padlet. And it has a wealth of just information and resources around setting goals, also information around like those one pagers that will show you how to get back to the reports we're going to work on today. If you're not used to our diagnostic, what it will do is assess K-12 skills. So it's going to go all the way across the board, and wherever your students land is where that MyPath is going to set up at. So it is an adaptive assessment. As students are getting questions right, they'll continue to get harder questions. And as students are getting questions wrong, it'll just drop down a level. If students actually engaged in this diagnostic last year, it's going to pick up where they left off. So if there's a student who took it last year, their EOY is where it's going to start, and then it will pick up that process from there. So what it looks like, again, is as students are answering questions, the questions will continue to get harder. When they miss a question, it'll just kind of do an up and down process until it gets to a student's actual proficiency level. So when we say that this particular process is called getting good data, it is so imperative that the environment is set to get the best data. Because what you don't want is a student being on a pathway that is really too easy for them, and it's not helping them to accelerate their learning towards proficiency. Because if they're not in the right pathway, then that means that you're going to go in and have to correct each student's pathway with each domain. And you don't want to have to do that busy work when we can just get it right the first go round. So when we're beginning to look at the assessment and just the administration, you have the opportunity to monitor what it looks like with the diagnostic status report. When you see this sign here, where it looks like there's an hourglass, that means that that's how long that student has before their diagnostic assessment will expire. So that's that countdown. The flags are letting you know if students are rushing. You can see this real time by refreshing that screen, and I will show you where this report is when we go live into the dashboard. One of the other things that you'll look at as soon as your students are done, this report will update, and that is the diagnostic results report. That's usually the very first report that you kind of go into after the diagnostic to just see where your students are. This section here is letting you know where every student lands and what grade level that scale score is equivalent to. So this is just a sample. This is a reading sample, but whether it's reading or math, you'll get that information for every domain. And if it's your student's first go round and taking their diagnostic, it's going to show that first bar, or should I say that bar graph of their scale score. If it's not their first time, you will see more than one bar graph here because it's going to show you diagnostic 1 and diagnostic 2. So just depending on where you are in your building as to what you will see in this area here. I'm going to show you this North Carolina Standards Report because I think it's going to be very applicable for you because we've already had some opportunity for instruction. So if this is your student's first go round taking a diagnostic, you'll be able to see how the teaching has actually landed with that student up until this point. If it's your student's second time taking a diagnostic, you should see some growth with these standards. But this is one of the reports that I am going to highlight when we go live. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go live. If you have not logged into your dashboard, I'm going to give you an opportunity to now. If you're using the demo account, I'll give you an opportunity to go ahead and transition to that. And we'll go ahead and begin to look at some of the reports that I highlighted earlier, but I'll pause also just in case if there's a question.
Shaniska, there's a question in the chat. It reads from Palisades. What about iReady Pro that has been showing up? Will it affect their diagnostic because it says it is not on reports?
Say that question again, because I don't know if I want to make sure I understand. Matter of fact, let me read it.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I can just ask it. So when I'm going in and I'm looking at the kids as they're doing things, it's showing up with iReady Pro as one of the things. And if you're looking at like them completing things and stuff like that, it says up there, iReady Pro is not included in this. So like, does that affect their diagnostics and stuff like that?
So iReady Pro on my path does not affect the diagnostic. The diagnostic actually informs the pathway. So iReady Pro is still my path. And I'm going to get to that after we go through these reports, because iReady Pro is what is considered, well, what we're calling the more updated, older version. Well, for our older striving learners, it's the redesigned version of my path so that it doesn't look so kiddie. Is that good?
Yeah, thank you. That helped.
Okay. So if you're logged in, the report section is where we're going to start. As soon as your students have pretty much finished their diagnostic and you've closed it out, the very first thing you're going to look at is that diagnostic results report. You have access to look at it at the school level, but you can also look at it at the class level. And I say school level because anyone with admin access, you can see the data all the way across your school. If you're needing to look at it at a particular class, you can filter down to that class level. So we're going to start at the school level, and then I can show you how to get down to the class level. So we're at school level. I know it's there because this is bolded, and I'm going down to the diagnostic status report. So whether it's reading or math, whatever your choice is, my apologies for that background noise. If you hear it, the community decided to do evidently some lawn work today. So when you click on a diagnostic status report, what this is really doing is showing you where your students are. Again, remember how we talked about the assessments that will be expiring, whether there's some rush flags, and the yellow flag is just a caution flag. Doesn't necessarily mean that students were rushing, but it does mean that you may want to take a look. So if we were looking at a grade level, again, this is demo data. I'm able to see real time if I'm looking at Miss Sanchez's class. So this is how you can get down to the actual class. If I want to look at Miss Sanchez's class, I'm able to see who has started, what is happening. And again, this is demo data, so there's no real data in it. But if you actually have things happening in your building, you should see information or data populating here. But you're able to see what is happening and what has happened within your building or with this teacher's class thus far. So this is, again, the diagnostic status report. And this report is applicable when the diagnostic is live and you're monitoring students actually doing it and completing it. All right. The very next report, once students have completed the assessment, is the diagnostic results report. So I'm going to go ahead and just click in here. We're looking at the example of what it looks like across the building. So if I was looking across the building for 7th grade, and I know you guys are high school, but this is K-8, so all of my examples are kind of going to be at that middle school level. But when you're looking across your building, you'll be able to see where your students are landing. If it is green and solid and or striped, those are your students that are showing proficiency. So if they're showing proficiency, they're not going to be a part of this intervention pathway that you're looking at. What you're looking for are your students that are falling within that protocol that are probably sitting in the yellow and or red. When you're looking at that data, it is letting you know which of your students are in need of more support and which of your students are not. But the pathway is designed, or should I say created, based on this data and where students are landing in these domains. When you click on a particular teacher's class, so as you created your instructional groups and you're able to really see what's happening, you're able to see the individual data for all of the students that will be participating in this MTSS framework, and you'll be able to see where they land and where they will be placed with their pathway. So for example, if Nathan is a 9th grade student and he's actually falling within that 6th grade pathway, looking at what we're doing, whether it's math and or reading, this here will determine what his iReady pathway will be. The pathway automatically starts with the domain that has the least score. So for Nathan, when he logs into his pathway, his first set of lessons will be in the domain of algebra because he's at a grade 5 here. So the domain does not follow your scope and sequence, meaning how you teach. It will follow the scope and sequence based on the student's score in each domain. So I'm going to pause there just in case there's a question. All right. So hearing that, I just want to say that again. The pathway does not follow your scope and sequence, meaning what you're teaching. It's going to follow the scope and sequence of where a student lands at the end of the diagnostic. And wherever they score the lowest, it will start there with lessons, and then it will continue on from there. The great thing about iReady Pro is that it will do what is called an accelerated version of their pathway, and we'll get to that in just a second. The next report that I want to show you that I think is going to be very applicable to where you are, if you go back up to reports, click on class. Remember how I talked about that North Carolina Standards report? Because now you can begin to align where your students are to what their need is. So if you click on this North Carolina Standards report, and I'm just going to continue with the math pathway since that's where I started. And clicking on that North Carolina Standards report, you're able to see those standards that build to where, the standards that would be, I guess, the foundational standards that will build to where students need to be. You're able to see where your students are landing. So let's just say, and I never ever taught math, but we're just going to act like I did. So let's just say if this standard here, North Carolina Standard RP.1, if this was a foundational standard that students are needing to be successful, whether it's in Math 1 or wherever they are in math, then I'm able to see which of my students are proficient in that standard and which of my students are not. So my students who are not proficient in that standard, but this is a very important foundational standard that they need, I'm able to identify them now and be proactive on the front end. One, check to see where they are in their MyPath, and or two, use supplemental resources to support that student to be stronger with that standard. So this report will be very key in helping you to kind of cherry pick what resources you're wanting to use with your students. So I'm going to pause there in case there are some questions around this particular report. Check the chat.
Aniska, can you show one more time? Because I've been toggling between my actual account and this one. How did you get to this report again?
Click on reports.
Mm-hmm.
You have to switch over to class because this is considered a class level report.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to go down to where it says North Carolina Standards.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. With every subject head here, you can see different reports populate. Class reports are reports that you can use with your day-to-day instruction. So you have your North Carolina Standards report, which is here. And then you have these other two reports. One is a prerequisite report and it's math specific. Again, this is K-8, but it can kind of give you some access to resources if students are needing some supplemental support. So I'm just going to click on this math prerequisite report just a bit to just kind of give you an example of the what. So looking at this K-8 report, and let's see if we can go ahead and get to an 8th grade class. Let's say if whatever you're working on in high school, you know that students need functions in order to be strong with this content. And maybe you have a group of students that just did not quite get that very well in middle school, and they may need a little support with it. And again, I did not teach math, so I don't know if functions is even a priority skill that they need, but we're going to just work with it. So in clicking on that, what it will do for you is actually give you a list of resources that you can just go directly to with iReady. It'll give you that list to help support. So if I have a group of students, my students that may be in this red and they need some support with functions, I can easily go to group D and I have the list of what iReady offers as far as resources to help support students in a supplemental way. So this is kind of an easy way to get to those resources in iReady without having to go into that toolbox and look at absolutely everything that's there. So this is the report, that's the math report. For reading, that report is called the grade level planning scaffolding report. And it'll do for reading what the prerequisite report does for math. So I'm going to click on it. This report is very skills driven. So if I know that I'm working on citing textual evidence and literature in my class, and I just want to see where my students are, if you click on it, it'll let you know which of your students have actually mastered that skill and what students need support. And small group support is linked right in there for you. So this is, again, using these class level reports is a streamlined way to kind of get to the resources instead of always having to do this. You can find all of these resources in the teacher toolbox, but when you click in it, it's a lot of stuff. So I was just kind of trying to show you a way of just being able to streamline through the stuff. But again, these resources are standard specific, so you can just look to the left to find a standard of your choice to support what you're doing. Any questions on those 4 resources that I just shared?
I have a question. So like I know with our iReady, they are rostered based off of student homerooms, but our teachers that are currently teaching, say, Math 1 or English 1 or English 2 for that matter, don't have access to these reports for the kids that they're actually teaching. Is there a way that that can be addressed or adjusted? Because it's kind of hard to get them to use this data in real time if they don't have access to it.
Yes. So what you will have to do is create instructional groups. And I can walk you all through how to do that now. And it is several steps. So as I'm walking through the steps, just let me know if I need to go back.
Shanice,
All right?
I'm gonna drop the directions in the chat. And then I'll drop them in the chat as you so that they have them.
Have the steps. Okay. So what you would do to answer your question is literally go in and you're going to create an instructional group. And you can do that either in the management aspect, because it's report groups here that you will be just creating that instructional group with. And Anasia has dropped those steps. And do you want me to just kind of like voice over walk through it, or just for the sake of time, let's just use the directions?
We can just use the directions because but you can, you can briefly talk through it and then I'll drop it in the chat. I'm sorry.
No, not a
I'm
problem.
working multiple things over here.
So what you'll do is you'll go into management and you're going to create a report group. So you would click on manage. Of course, selecting the school. So boom. This is a demo account, so I'm having to add like a couple of things, but for you, your school should populate right here automatically. And the action is I'm going to add a report group. So you will come over to actions here. You're going to add a report group, and then it will literally walk you through all the steps. And you know you've done what you needed to do because this green button here will populate for you to go to the next step. So I'm going to create this report group. I'm going to the next step. I would name my group. So it could be whatever you're wanting to name it. So the groups, however you're looking to group, you want to go ahead and decide now what it's going to be. So when you get into this process, it's just clicking and doing what you need to do.
Now, the only caveat with this is that, someone who is an administrator and iReady, like a dean of students, a master teacher, someone who has admin rights and iReady will need to create the group in order for the person to be able to, the staff member who you want to see those students to be able to see it. And then the group will appear in their drop down. But the directions to do that are in the chat.
Yep. So once you get past this process, you do your save and continue, you click your students. What Anasia was speaking of is this area here. You have to click the teachers that need access to that group in order for them to see it. If you don't select the teacher in this part, they still will not be able to see that instructional group. So this is a very important piece. Every person that you know needs to have access. If it's 5 people and you maybe aren't sure about one, just click the person, because you can easily remove that person than having to try to go back and recreate that process. And you just click save and close, and then you can just move through setting up that group after that. And again, that's where you will find it, or where you would do it at. It's in management, and you know that you have access to do it, because if this icon is populated, or should I say this button is on your dashboard, then you have that admin access to do it. If not, you just need to connect with someone who has that access.
Hi, Shaniska. I have my report group set up, and initially I had all my teachers, myself, and our Math 1 PLC instructional lead added to there. And then somewhere along the year, all of my Math 1 teachers were removed from my group. So they can only see their students who they serve in their homeroom, but they can't see their actual Math 1 students. How do I add them back into my report group?
So you should probably be able to go back to that group since you have access, and then go to the area where it not being able to see your screen. I'm trying to just kind of like walk you through it, but go through the area where you can edit that group, and you should be able to add those teachers back. Now, if it resyncs and they're removed, then that may need to be something that we may need to do some deeper kind of like research with. But it should not resync and remove them unless there's just, I guess, a controversy with how it's syncing on iReady side and what the district is allowing.
Okay, I'll try that, and if not, then I will reach out and see. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So I still have the question real quick. When it says we have the screening from the 3rd to the 7th, is that what the diagnostic is, or is that 2 different things?
It's the same thing.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I was like a little more, but I wasn't able to hear it. Thank you, Anasia.
And then, are we going to be able to see it from the student side, what they see on their screens?
You mean like what a diagnostic looks like?
Yeah, like how we get them on there and what it looks like.
Yeah, I can drop another resource in the chat for you so that you'll be able to see like what the student screen will look like. I'll drop that in the chat so Shaniska, you can keep going.
Okay, thank you.
So the biggest piece is just being able to communicate to your students, the purpose of this diagnostic, because again, you want them to do their absolute best so that you can get good data. Whenever I hear that the data isn't valid, it's not the assessment, it's truly the integrity of the environment. So if you want these reports to really work for you and you want to be able to use this data, you want to be very intentional about setting up the environment so that you can get the absolute best data and the opportunity to do some goal setting with your students, because you want them to see that level of growth. Again, I wanted to just reiterate that what will happen, or should I say the first set of lessons students will see will be in a domain that they scored the least in. So if it's a grade 5 or grade 3 or 4, wherever it is, it's going to be that set of lessons that they will see first within their normal path of iReady. Now, when we move into iReady Pro, this is a new update, and let me just say there are a lot of kinks that they're working out. We've had a lot of technical conversations and a lot of debugging happening because it's new. It was just piloted last year. And of course, when people begin to use it in large numbers, we're able to, the technicians are able to see some areas that they need to improve in. But what it's actually doing is just trying to accelerate their pathway from point A to point B. Because in our traditional MyPath, so let's say if informational text is the domain, and if there are 50 lessons in that particular domain, a student would have to complete those 50 lessons before it would go over into the what is considered pathway to proficiency area. With iReady Pro, it will take those 50 lessons, sort through what are the most significant or the most important lessons that they need to kind of streamline that pathway to get them on their proficiency pathway a lot faster. So if I'm a 9th grade student and I'm in some 7th grade, I'm in a 7th grade domain, I need to get to my 9th grade as fast as I can. So iReady Pro streamlines that for me by now beginning to pull out the lessons that are the most important for me. Your students should see a more refined, or should I say a redesigned, mature front facing, so it doesn't look any, the characters have been removed and it's more applicable to the lessons that they're working in. And what you should also see is that, well, in reading, it happened already at the beginning of the year for back to school, but math, it dropped December the 2nd. There have been, again, some kinks here that we need to work in, but your students will see the iReady Pro lessons if they are showing that they're at a grade 5 or lower in the numbers and operations in that domain. For reading, it's if they're in grades, if they score K through 3 in phonics. If they're not falling within those levels, then you don't have to worry about seeing iReady Pro. They're on their regular pathway. This shows you what that
So if when students log in and a student has the iReady Pro option, will they see both of them, or will it just be iReady Pro and the students that are not slated for Pro will get the other version?
Exactly. So students that are iReady Pro will see an iReady Pro screen. Students who are not iReady Pro will see their regular MyPath screen.
But all of the data filters into the one teacher and admin platform.
You were breaking up. So are you asking, does the data show as one feature?
Well, I'm saying, does the data show in one place, regardless if they're using the Pro option or the standard one? Okay, thank you.
Yes, it does. So again, there are some features that are still the same where students can actually track their progress, but what it will look like for their iReady Pro lessons, it will not automatically send students into a retry. You know, on MyPath, if they don't pass a lesson, they'll automatically have it'll automatically reset for a retry. In iReady Pro, the goal is to give students choice so that way they can engage in lessons more. So it will not automatically make them retry. They have a chance to choose whether they want to retry or not. And when they do choose to retry a lesson, you'll know it on a report because you'll see the word retried there. We still recommend 30 to 49 minutes with the personalized pathway, whether it's iReady Pro and or just that traditional pathway. So that 30 to 49 minutes a week is still the recommendation, because we know that this will help students get towards that typical growth goal, as well as reach that stretch growth goal. It is set at least 70% when it comes down to their pass rate. And that's, if you're wanting something different, you just need to communicate that with your students. When you're looking at the report, this is how it looks with the typical personalized instruction summary class report. So this particular report has not changed if you're used to seeing it from last year. Oh, sorry about that. So there's no real big difference there, other than your students that are considered iReady Pro, you will see a flag by their name. So here, This is letting you know students who have domains turned off, which is important. So your teachers who are monitoring this, they really do need to look at this report. As a matter of fact, let me just go back live so we can really just take a look at that report in detail. So when you're looking at this particular report for your iReady Pro, for your iReady summary report, and again, this is demo data, so it never actually populates like we love it to populate. But what you should be able to see are your students' name, their time on task, and what's happening. See if I can go to a lower grade and get better report. Okay, we got one with a little bit more data. So you're able to see each student, you're able to see their time on task, their percent complete. If it is an iReady Pro student, it'll be a purple flag by their name. So that's how you're able to see your iReady Pro students versus your students who are not iReady Pro, who are on their regular pathway. So it would be a purple flag by their name that lets you know that student is a part of the iReady Pro. They're on that iReady Pro pathway, and that's how it's differentiated in that report. But other than that, your report is still that same traditional report. So that is the gist of my condensed version of my presentation, as I know we are 28 minutes before stop time, and I really wanted to leave some time for questions. So whether it's on anything that I shared today or just a question about something else, this is the time we can do that now. I'll check the chat. We're good here.
Can you show one more time how you got to this one? I know you're under reports. Were you still
Mhm.
under class? To get
Yes.
to the personalized, okay.
You click on class and then you come over here to instruction.
Instruction, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this report, I think once you get to the phase where after you have implemented your plan for intervention delivery, right? And you've gotten to the phase where you're ready to administer your diagnostic assessment and students are ready to begin instruction. The personalized instruction summary report is going to be the best tool you can use to monitor how your students are doing, right? Without you having to go, well, how are the students doing? That personalized instruction summary report is a report that can be pulled up during your MTSS leadership team meeting. You can look across the board at how many students or how much time on task students are actually spending while they're in the platform. You can look at the average amount of time they're taking per lesson. You can look at how many lessons are being completed. You can drill down to what students are doing. So this is the way that you're monitoring what's happening in those intervention classes without you having to be present in each of the intervention classes. And if you start to notice what the trends are, then you can start to say, okay, well, we need to go focus on, we need to do some fidelity checks to see what's happening in such and such a classroom because we notice that the students are not on task. And maybe they're not coming to class. So maybe that's an attendance issue that you need to check on. Or maybe they're getting there and no one is like actually engaged in the work. So that's an issue that you need to go check on. So this is the way that you're monitoring it without having to go into every single classroom to see what's actually happening in that classroom. This is a tool for your MTSS leadership team that you can use to quickly monitor what's happening when students actually finish the diagnostic assessment and they get into the work phase of like actually using the intervention and instructional pathways.
I
And
have
if you
a
want,
quick, oh,
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I have a quick question. I've been using and sending our Math One team the PDF, Is there a CSV? So as the math teachers, they like the Excel spreadsheet. Is there a way to capture the students' growth on a CSV so I can send that to them so they can disaggregate, filter that data?
So there's an icon here. It says CSV for me. So when you get ready to export when you're looking at those reports, at the top, whatever format that it can be exported in, you'll see it there.
Right. Where do I go to find that? Because I'm in the personalized instruction summary where it shows their lesson time on task, their math placement. I see the printable PDF feature, but I don't see a CSV.
So if you don't see a CSV, it could be that maybe with your system it's not offered. Because on mine, I actually see CSV. But again, I'm in a demo site.
Okay. I guess that's a CMS question. Is there a way for us to get access to that, Anasia?
Yeah, I mean, you should be able, you should
Unless
be
I'm in
able
the wrong screen.
I see CSV with mine. What do you guys
Yeah.
see?
What screen are you on? Are you in the personalized instruction summary?
I am, but I'm also in a demo account. So
Okay. Yeah, I'm in my actual account because I was looking for this yesterday, actually, because I found the CSV, but it just gives a total number of how many students are whatever progress they are. But it doesn't give the students' names. It's just the total number. So the CSV has 2 rows and 50,000 columns. I was looking for the CSV version of the PDF where they tell you how many, how much time they're on task, how many students, total students, what lessons they've completed. That's what I was looking for. So we can track growth. So I can say to a kid, hey, 2 weeks ago, you were, in the hour that you were in your session, you worked for 45 minutes, and since then you've decreased. If you want to get through, I need you to make sure that you're maintaining consistent time on task at each session. That's what I'm looking for to give our Math 1 team and to be able to talk about it at our MTSS, because I know my principal is going to ask me that.
Yeah, I think if you go to, and Shaniska, tell me if I'm wrong, but if you go back to reports, and you go to the instruction, and you go to the exports option, the personalized instruction summary, the right there where you are, next door.
Oh, I went too fast. Sorry.
There is and go back to instruction. And then
the exports. Yeah, sorry. I was
you
looking
go back to math, and I don't know if this is not it, then email me, Tracy, so I can see how to get you what you need. But this might be it. Did you try this way because this?
Yeah, I went on here. I was literally playing around with this yesterday. I went on here, and when it created this export, it was a PDF file.
Oh, it was a PDF, but you want to be able to look at it. Okay, so will you email me that specific question, and then I can follow up on it so I don't forget to ask about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to get with our...
This is a suggestion, Tracy.
Yeah.
Maybe just copy and throw it. Hi. Maybe just Control-Alt copy and then throw it in a Google spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to manipulate.
Yeah, I would probably have to do that manually, because when I look on I can pull it from the student where it drops down all the students. I could pull it manually. That would take a lot of time.
Yeah, she wants
in my job of jobs I don't have, but that was going to be my last ditch effort. I could do that. So yes, I was just wondering if they already had one, so I didn't start doing old school and then find out that somebody already created it.
Don't do old school.
Let me find out.
Casey, no.
All right, email me that question and I will try to figure out. Me and Shaniska, email both of us, copy both of us on it, or email it to me and I'll copy Shaniska and try to answer for you.
Because we can get with the account manager and see if there's a workaround for it. I feel like the answer is going to be no, but we will ask that question. And I'm wondering if you did custom. Oh no, it's still going to be in a PDF though. It's not going to go over to that CSV. Sorry, my brain was trying to work
No,
around.
I was like trying to figure this out yesterday, and I was at work a little later than I should have been. I went down a rabbit hole.
Yep, yep.
I was like, I am
Or
not doing this
CSV,
manually.
following your directions in Asia.
What'd you say?
Once I clicked with CSV, following your directions, if she clicked that green create report or create export, I don't know if it has all that you were wanting, but it definitely printed out a report with multiple columns where you can see that some of the things that you were saying you want to see as far as time on task, lessons completed, and
Yeah, there's that one because I actually downloaded it, but when I looked at it, it just gives overall. It doesn't do it
yeah.
student. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, let me look again.
Oh, wait, I
think
did
that
find it.
one-
Oh, yay.
Okay, hold on. I did find one. I just don't know how I got to it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because this one I can see student names, I see their ID number, grade level.
yeah. No, you're right. I actually did do it. I'm looking at it because it's in my Google Drive.
Okay.
Now, how did I get to that though? Now, there's the bigger question.
So did you go through the reports and export, Veronica?
Yes.
Yep. And then you
Once
got
I
to
was under
screen
that
and create
personalized.
export. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's
And then
the
the
only
two
way I
buttons
know
you
how to
had
do
popped
it.
up.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just need to go back and figure out how I did it because clearly I'm looking at my report.
Okay. I think it's this way.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's this way because it's the only way I know, and I don't think it comes out as a PDF. I think it actually comes out as an Excel.
Okay, maybe I did it wrong because there's that screen. I did this back in November. So yeah. So I did do it. Okay.
So
All
for the
right,
sake of the group, we're going to go into reports, click on instruction, and you're coming over here to where it says personalized instruction summary export. And once you click on the content, you will create the export. And again, I'm in this demo account, so I don't know where it goes when I hit create export, but it does populate a screen letting you know that it's in queue. And you go to that export queue to take a look.
Are there any other like diagnostic questions, report questions? This is your time. Don't wait till after this session and be like, hey, Anasia, because I'm gonna be like, I don't know.
Let me ask a question. So the diagnostics that expire, if that diagnostic expires, then that student has to take the diagnostic, like they have to go back through the process. Okay.
Yeah, they have to restart. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So they have and I think Shaniska, you may have mentioned this. The diagnostic will expire after 28 days. So that's a long time.
Yep. 28 days to do it.
But you'll see that clock, so you'll know that their time is running out.
And as we're wrapping up, I hope my email is, matter of fact, I probably need to I'll add it to the Padlet so that you'll have it. But I hope today was a great session. This is a way of me getting some feedback from you. So I hope I did a good job for you today. The session number is there, and I'll put the survey link in the chat for you if you don't mind. Just taking some time to do that. I truly appreciate it. And please reach out if you have any questions. If this is your round one with it, and after you get that data and you just want some support in looking through it or disaggregating it, I am here to help. Just reach out to me. I can get you on my calendar and we can get connected and we can just actually begin to look at it. If it's any particular report, maybe that you're wanting to just kind of lift or just have some questions around using it, just let me know. Because I know you guys are doing this in a very streamlined and targeted way. And if we can help cut out, get through the weeds to get right to where you need, I'm here to do that. But other than that, I will stop my share and turn it back over to you, Anasia.
All right. All right, so we are gonna close out, and I'm just going to open up some things here so you know what's left in your deck. I'm not sharing, so let's start there. Share here. Okay, so we, again, we will stay after the call, after we close out the session today, just for those of you all who want to stay and ask some questions. And I will kind of show the filtering if that will help some of you all kind of break down how you can look at that data set if you need that. You also have linked to this slide in your deck, a clean copy of the data protocol, so that you can take that back to your leadership team to go through that on your own. So you have that embedded in your deck if you need that. Helpful resources. So as you start to plan for your semester changes here, you have the MTSS Data Decision Summary Report. This is the direct link to the report in Navigator. So once you click here, as long as you're logged in and you have authenticated your account and everything, this should take you directly into Navigator to the report. The MTSS Data Decision Guidance, this is for CMS to understand how students show up on this report so that you understand what you're looking at. Of course, you're linked here to FAMS. These are some of the reports that Shaniska referenced today in her presentation. So the Diagnostic Results Report and the Personalized Instruction Summary Report. These are the PDF versions of the reference sheets that you can refer to. And then I linked here for you at the beginning of the year, all principals were asked to submit an iReady implementation plan. If you have never seen your iReady implementation plan, or you didn't know you had one, please click here because every school was asked to submit one to say how you were going to use iReady as a resource for your students. And those have been revisited by your, what are they now? Not learning communities, school performance areas. So make sure that you are referencing your iReady implementation plans for the remainder of the school year so that you can make sure that you are using iReady according to your implementation plan that your principals outlined in the beginning of the school year. So if you do not see your school linked here once you open up the spreadsheet, that just means that your school likely did not submit one. But if you don't see your name here, please ask your principal about that because every school principal was asked to submit one at the beginning of the year. So those are all of your resources that you can take back to utilize with your MTSS leadership team for your January, February meetings. And I just want to say thank you all for your flexibility today. I know that this session would have been awesome in person, and I know that you all are taking time out of your day today when you could have been chillaxing. So I just want to thank you for showing up today and engaging in the work with us and just, being active participants. I want to thank you, Shaniska, for taking your time. MTSS team for showing up. Thank you, Sony, for helping me and being my co-presenter today. And just if you need anything, if Jade is still in the space, thank you, Jade, for coming today. If you need anything, please do not hesitate to reach out. If you've emailed me, you know that my bookings link is in my email signature. So you can always schedule a one-off meeting if you need some additional support. And I just want to thank you so much for just coming today. And I look forward to seeing you all in February. But before you log off, please make sure that you complete the attendance for today so we can give you some MyTalent credit. And please provide us with some feedback on the session so that we can make those adjustments for part 2 of the high school collaborative. And we have some, treats and stuff for y'all for food and some iReady giveaways. And, so we will make sure that we bring those to the February session so that you get what you were supposed to get today. So please complete the feedback and the attendance and enjoy the rest of your remote learning day. Those of you all who would like to stay on and ask some specific questions or watch me filter through a Google Sheet, please stay. Also, if you just want to connect with each other, we can open up a breakout room so that you can connect with each other if you have questions. I hope that you DM'd each other in the chat to connect. And I hope the session was valuable. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, Natasha. We will post the recording. We recorded both sessions today, so we'll link the slide deck and the recording and any of the resources that were shared today. We'll make sure that you all get those resources so that you can reference them again.
Great job. Very well organized and lots of things to take away that were positive.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your feedback. Oh, good, Wendy. Thank you.
Probably should have polled them and see where they were at the end of this session.
I know. Thanks, people. Thanks for coming.
All right, thank you, ladies, for pivoting and doing a great job today. I know it was probably tough, but you did a wonderful job.
I know. Thank you for always supporting.
Thank you. Bye, ladies.
See you soon.
Bye.
It was really helpful being able to talk to other high school people with implementation and figuring out how this is working, how it's not working was the better thing for me because I didn't feel like such a failure. I feel like I'm failing in so many places, but a lot of us were in the same place, so that was helpful, but yet also reassuring, and then also motivational because there were people that were able to share things that were actually working in schools. I know we all serve different schools and have different demographics and different issues and all the rest of that, but it was just great to hear some things that have worked versus things that haven't worked and kind of the rationale behind some of that with this implementation.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Stay safe.
Thank you, Finest. I'll see you soon.
Yes, ma'am. And I was able to connect with East Mac, so we're gonna meet during the exam half days.
Okay, good.
Thank you for that. Yep.
Good.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, ladies.